Okay, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in, and welcome to this session. Thanks so much for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about extending Microsoft 365 with Copilot agents, and particularly extending Microsoft 365 Copilot with agents. My name is William Clark. I'm a Copilot usage architect here at Microsoft, and I'll be joined by Jeff Zetterberg, who is a fantastic senior program manager here at Microsoft and a super knowledgeable and technical resource as well. Just a couple of things to be aware of before we dive too deep into the content here today. Number one is how to get involved. We definitely know that this topic has a lot of interest surrounding it, and we want to hear from you. We are operating through a Teams live event. So if it is your first time around these parts, you can select the Q&A button at the top of your window, which should open up a little blade menu where you can put in any questions. Now, as we're going through, if you have questions, chuck them in the Q&A and we have a collection of moderators to address them for you. We'll also be publishing some announcements as well as some of the great questions from other members of the audience in the Q&A as well. So keep an eye on it there. Feel free to reply and give some reactions, but a great thank you to you all for attending today. We might move forward and take a bit of a look at what will be discussed today. So in terms of the agenda for today, we're going to start it off by actually level setting, and we have a really broad audience today, which is fantastic. So what we want to do is take a step back and actually create a little bit of understanding of what Copilot agents actually are. And there's a few different ways that they can be created and lots of different ways that they can be implemented, managed, deployed, and used as well. So hopefully we'll be able to create a little bit of clarity on the difference between agents built with Copilot Studio versus Agent Builder, and then also introduce you to one of the hottest topics following Ignite, Copilot agents. Then I'll be taking back the mic from Jeff and giving us a quick overcap of some of the control and management perspectives from an IT governance side of things when it comes to agents, which is a rapidly expanding space. A few examples from customers, as well as kind of click-through demos that you could explore on agents yourself. And then wrapping up with some of the really exciting stuff that's come out of our Ignite conference just a couple weeks ago there. So some really, really cool stuff. Not everything in the agent space has to be in-depth development, and we actually have a ton of agents that are available kind of out of the box for you as well. So really keen to get through that. But without further ado, I will hand over to Jeff.
Thank you, Will. Hello, everyone. Let me just get going here with the slides. My name is Jeff. I'm a product manager for Copilot Extensibility based in Japan. And today I'll be talking to you about agents, what they are, how we can build them, and how they can transform your workflows and unlock productivity across all of your lines of business. So we'll begin here with our tagline, and that is that Copilot is the user interface for AI. However, the entry point always starts with you. It always starts with humans and human ingenuity. Copilot is your trusted AI assistant. It understands you, your work context, and it gives you a consistent and personalized UI to work with. So the vision here is that every individual worker will have a Copilot that they can put to work every day. And importantly, with M365 Copilot, you have the governance and controls for data access, agent management, and the reporting that you need to measure your business outcomes. These governance aspects, these are going to be covered by my colleague Will later in the call today. So I'm going to be primarily focusing on the end user and build experiences of agents. Okay, so let's talk about Copilot and agents, right? Copilot is a powerful tool for improving your personal productivity. But when we talk about automating your work tasks and your processes, this is where agents come in, right? And quite often terms and definitions will change over time and can become confusing. So today we really want to give some clarity on what agents are and the relationship with Copilot, right? So at the top level, Copilot is your personal AI assistant for work. And just like every employee has a smartphone, every employee will have a Copilot. And when you get a Copilot license, This enables you to use features such as meeting summarization, right? And some of the powerful AI tools that we've seen across the Office suite of products, and Word and Excel and the rest. We see AI features now in Teams, SharePoint, and across all different surfaces in the 365 ecosystem. Agents will augment Copilot with the skills and knowledge that you need to do your work. So in a sense, we're building on top of Copilot here. We're leveraging the same LLM and orchestrator that Copilot uses. But now with agents, we're bringing the power of Copilot closer to your specific work cases, right? And just like each user will typically be using many applications, it's also very possible that one user will be interacting with multiple agents. Okay, so we touched a bit on the relationship between Copilot and agents, but what are agents exactly and how do they work? So we have a few different options here. Let's take a look at these in order from simplest to most complex, right? The most straightforward type of these is going to be what we call the retrieval agent, right? Which is created generally to bring information and clarity back to the user. So when you design a retrieval agent, you're going to give it specific instructions, how to behave, what its personality should be like, and the overall objectives that you want it to achieve. And as the creator of that agent, you're also going to give it some predefined rules and guidelines to follow. And we're going to go into depth in each of these in a moment. I just want to give an overview here. Moving up in complexity, we have a task agent. And these are tightly connected to specific workflows or processes that you need to do. They operate based on knowledge, skills, and the rule-based automation that you set up for it ahead of time. And their primary purpose is not only to retrieve information, but to automate repetitive tasks and free up the user to focus on higher value activities. And finally, the most complex, this is the autonomous agent, right? These agents operate completely independently. They dynamically plan and learn from the processes that they're involved in, and they can adapt to changing conditions and make decisions without constant human intervention. So let's just quickly take stock of what we have here, because we're going to see these again going forward. Retrieval agents will get information for you. Task agents will automate processes, and autonomous agents will be out there in your org working independently on your behalf. So let's take a look at some common use cases of these agents. In the red on the left, we have these retrieval agents, right? So you could, for example, ask an IT help desk retrieval agent for advice on best practices, like connecting to a network or a VPN or something like that. Or if you had a project tracker agent, you could ask it the status of your project, what are the open tasks, and so on. Again, we're focused here on retrieving information by asking it questions using just our natural language. Toward the center in the purple, we have these task agents. And so, for example, you can ask a device refresh agent to request a new laptop. And it's a very turn-based experience, right? So you could be having this conversation back and forth with the agent in order to complete an order for new equipment. These are conversational workflows that are used to complete tasks. And so they're doing more than just retrieval. They're actually getting things done. When things get really interesting, on the right in blue here, this is when we look at the autonomous agents, right? These can be out there working on your behalf without your intervention. For example, generating sales leads for you based on research that the agent is doing itself. Or it could be identifying IT support issues and then collating those issues and handing them off to other agents to handle. So now that we understand the types of agents that are out there, what they can do, we can start thinking about how we reimagine our workplace with agents as part of our new workforce, right? And there are a lot of ways to optimize and reinvent your business processes with agents. We can think about transforming complex processes. We can think about the endless possibilities when we start chaining together agents in a multi-agent collaboration scenario. And perhaps most importantly, we can also think about enabling all of your employees to augment their jobs with the help of an agent. Agents really excel at handling highly variable situations in real time, using judgment based on the guidelines that you have set out for it in advance. And employees will be able to interact with these agents using simple natural language without needing to learn a new UI or a new set of system controls. So going forward, we're going to talk about how we can build agents in your organization. But there's just one important point here, is that you don't always necessarily need to build them. We actually have a growing marketplace of first-party agents built by us here at Microsoft and third-party agents built by our partners that can address common concerns and connect to external systems you might already be using. And new pre-built agents like this are being added all the time. If you'd like to see a preview of some things that are available, you can check in your Teams client in the Teams store under the header called Agents. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we can actually start building these things, right? And the first tool chain that I'll be introducing is Microsoft Copilot Studio. And this is the primary solution to use for our customers looking to build their own agents. Copilot Studio is sort of your single-stop end-to-end tool that provides a complete life cycle for designing, enhancing, and managing agents from this single pane of glass. And the full version of Copilot Studio is usually suited for advanced users, such as citizen developers and even IT developers in your organization. However, we also have a simpler, lighter weight version of Copilot Studio, sort of a subset, and we surface this for end users in Teams and in Business Chat, as well as in SharePoint. These simplified, lightweight experiences are generally focused on personal productivity and are accessible to all users, regardless of their background. So to summarize, end users can build simple solutions in the Agent Builder, while more advanced users, such as IT developers and citizen developers, can build more advanced solutions in the full version of Copilot Studio. Here's another view of that. So these are the tools that we make available for agent building. The lightweight Agent Builder, we find this in Teams or Business Chat, as well as in SharePoint, the full version of Copilot Studio. And then there's one that we're not going to really touch on today, but we do have a Pro Code solution. This is the preferred tool chain for professional AI developers, whereby they would be using Visual Studio in tandem with the Teams Toolkit plugin. So let's just kind of step through these and talk about when would we use each type of approach, right? So in the personal productivity space, we would be looking at the lightweight Agent Builder, right? This is really great for individual users that are trying to make their own workdays more efficient. But importantly, if a user creates their own agent, they can share it with their colleagues in the same way that they might share access to a file, right? But when we talk about the more formal automation of business processes within an organization, then the full version of Copilot Studio makes a lot of sense. And typically, this will be used by app makers, citizen developers, as I mentioned, IT developers, or really any business user that has built up their skills that has empowered them to work with this tool, right? And working with the full version of Copilot Studio can be a very straightforward experience. It can be a no-code or low-code experience, or it can be augmented with professional code tools as well. And finally, when we talk about the Pro Code approach, we look to Microsoft Visual Studio with the Teams Toolkit. This gives professional AI developers the templates and scaffolding that they need to begin quickly prototyping and building AI solutions at scale. And so going this route will provide for highly customized solutions. This could be very useful for a formal distributed development team with dev practices. Also, independent software vendors that build solutions on the Microsoft platform and make these solutions available in the Teams store generally use this approach. All right, across those three different build options, let's first turn our attention to the lightweight Agent Builder experience in this demo.
Let's start in BizChat, where we can open a simple agent for a field service technician. Say you're on site and you get an error code you've never seen before. You built a field service agent for exactly this. It has access to all your product knowledge and can give you step-by-step instructions in real time. Now watch how simple it is for anyone to create the agent we just saw and add it to Copilot. You fire up the Agent Builder and describe what you want the agent to do. It needs to be able to reason over your product catalog and repair tickets to provide step-by-step troubleshooting instructions. Let's connect it to SharePoint so it has access to all the knowledge it needs. It's built in seconds, so you can start using it immediately, or edit and configure it to fit your needs. You can expand its knowledge base, adding other files or folders, or connecting it to additional data sources. And you can update its name or image to align with your company's branding. So let's do that. You can test the agent right here, or just hit create and you're done. And of course, the agent respects your organization's Microsoft 365 and SharePoint security permissions. Now your Copilot agent is ready in BizChat, and you can share it with your team. Let's see the same scenario, but starting from SharePoint, right where you're working. If there's an issue that requires further research and follow-up, your team keeps all its customer records from deployment to maintenance reports on this SharePoint site. It's a wealth of valuable insights that's largely been locked away, hard to glean until now. With Copilot Studio, you can create an agent in a single click from any SharePoint site, library, or folder. This agent will deeply understand the information it was built on. It can answer questions about source material, reason over that material, and take action, just like a well-informed teammate would. This is so much bigger than natural language search. In just a few seconds, your Copilot agent is ready to be used or shared with others. Let's add it to your team's chat so everyone can work together with this agent. Now all those artifacts in SharePoint are immediately accessible and useful, so Copilot can reason over all the relevant content to find what your team needs. You can @mention the agent as you would any other teammate, sharing new information and asking it questions, and it will respond in real time. Now let's take it a step further. Now we'll go ahead and edit the agent we just built so it can take action on behalf of the team. First, open your agent in Copilot Studio. Here, you can add additional knowledge the agent will have as well as the actions it can take. You want it to be able to place an order for new parts with your procurement team. Let's connect it to Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. You're ready to update the agent and bring it back to the Teams chat where you were working on solving the customer's issue. Let's ask the agent to order the part it recommended. Your agent is on it, asking you to confirm before moving forward. And once you've given it the go-ahead, it's done. As simple as that.
Okay, cool. So building on from there, we're going to take a look at what this looks like in the full version of Copilot Studio. A slightly different take on things.
Creating your own agent is incredibly simple with Copilot Studio. Let's say I want to create an agent to serve as an HR agent for Contoso. I start by simply describing my agent and what it will do in natural language. I also ask for it to be friendly and remain professional at all times. I'll point my agent to Contoso's website so employees can ask questions about the company with the answers generated in real time based on the knowledge alongside all the pre-existing knowledge baked right into the agent. And finally, I can even specify things I don't want the agent to talk about. Great! Now I can instantly test out my agent right here and iterate on my instructions to further refine my agent as needed. Let's ask, do employees receive an award after 5 years with the company? As you can see, my agent was able to find the information on the website and generated a contextual answer to my question. I can even ask follow-up questions, like how long will it take for it to arrive? And my agent is smart enough to know the context of what I'm asking about. Okay, this looks great. And just like that, my new agent has been created. I can see the instructions generated by my previous answers, and I can easily make changes and iterate on these anytime I need to. The first thing I want to do is give my agent some more knowledge. As well as the public website I added earlier, I can add SharePoint sites, upload files, or point it to structured data in Dataverse or the Microsoft Graph. I can also leverage thousands of connectors to pull in data from third-party systems. For example, I have information related to training courses held in Dataverse, and I can easily add this to my agent by using the new Dataverse knowledge source. I simply choose whichever tables I want to add, and in this case, I'll choose training course information. That's it. I've now equipped my agent with more information, and I can test it right away. Let's ask, what new training courses have been added in the last month? I can see in the citation that the information came from my Dataverse tables, and the agent pulled the answer from just the right relevant rows in my table. Now I can go ahead and publish this to get it in the hands of employees right away. After just a few seconds, my agent is published and I can enable it on a wide variety of channels like websites or mobile apps, or in this case, Microsoft Teams, which I can turn on in just a click, enabling employees to get their questions answered instantly in Teams where they work every day.
Okay, cool. So we've seen the lightweight build experience. We've seen the full version of Copilot Studio. I just want to finish off the agent taxonomy by looking at autonomous agents. And this is a preview feature, so we don't have a demo for this yet. But autonomous agents introduce a unique set of behaviors as they can begin working on their own without any interaction from you. And typically, they'll kick off their workflow by responding to a trigger of some sort, something like a changed record in a database or the arrival of an email. Maybe it's noticed a new file has been created. You can also set them to run on a traditional timer or schedule. So these agents typically decide the best path forward at runtime, which means every time that these flows run, it's a unique experience because it depends on that situation. The agent maker will provide the instructions, knowledge, and actions that act as the general guardrails for the agent. And then the human creator can just sit back and watch the agent do its work and monitor it over time, check for performance, and continue to tweak and improve it over time. So as Microsoft builds out the autonomous agent platform, eventually these agents will be able to connect to each other and work as an ensemble to complete broader processes. So let's have a look at what a workflow would look like, right? So this workflow here showcases an example of an autonomous agent. First, we have to have something to trigger a workflow. In this case, it's an email coming in, right? So ahead of time, we've created the instructions here telling the agent what to do. In this case, it's going to process some incoming client engagement requests. It's going to find the right skill set of colleagues that are out there, verify any existing engagements, and then log the engagement into a database, right? We have also created a plan for the agent to follow. So it's going to go through a series of knowledge and actions to go out and execute on what it needs to get the job done. And then finally, for the outcome, the colleague who's been assigned this account is going to receive an email saying that, now you are in charge of this client engagement. And all of these things will just be happening in the background without any direct human intervention. So in this case, we have a sales example where the agent is finding leads. So far, we talked about all different types of agents, what they can do for you and how they're built. We've seen them in action. I want to finish off here by talking about using agents in SharePoint. We saw a little bit of that in the previous video. So coming back to that lightweight agent builder experience, right? This simplified subset of Copilot Studio. We can find this not only in Teams and Business Chat, but in SharePoint as well. And this lightweight agent builder allows users of any skill level to create their own agents that will be grounded information stored on SharePoint, right? The interface is super straightforward, and it guides the user through the creation process right there in the UI. So it will enable you to surface insights from your data, and then you can go ahead and share these agents across your business. Some points about the features of an agent grounded in SharePoint. Firstly, they are very easy to create. As I said, there's a guided creation sort of wizard experience within the SharePoint builder itself. They're very easy to share. If you've created an agent that a coworker you think could benefit from, you can share it with them and they can use it, provided that that coworker also has access to the underlying SharePoint data, which is a really important point. You can then invoke your agent quite easily, for example, in Teams by mentioning it and request it to do tasks such as retrieve data and generate insights. And finally, around security, the agents that you create yourself will always default to your existing SharePoint permissions to prevent data leakage and oversharing. So one exciting development that we've had is that now all SharePoint sites will now come by default with their own top-level agent built in. So let's just talk about what that means versus an agent that you would create yourself that is grounded on SharePoint. So essentially, we have two different possibilities when talking about agents in SharePoint. As mentioned, all SharePoint sites will now come with their own agents. These agents are scoped to a specific SharePoint site, and we cannot customize these, nor can we share them. They just come with it. It's an out-of-the-box experience. However, you are free to also create a custom scoped agent, right? This way you can scope down your agent to only the content that you choose in order to have a very focused, precise experience, which you can then go ahead and share with your coworkers as needed. So we have both a generalized solution for you that's ready to go, but we also provide that path to make a more granular and customized experience. When we really think about the vast amount of information that we have stored in SharePoint, we can start to see certain key use cases emerging here. Remember, SharePoint agents are generally of the retrieval variety. So these are particularly well suited to help us with discoverability, right? And this means quickly finding relevant information that might be buried somewhere deep into a SharePoint site. And this could be across things such as policy documentation, benefits, HR, IT. It could be anything, right? We can also think about how these might help us with upskilling and scaling our expertise, right? Being able to quickly provide answers for support or business procedures. And importantly, it also helps us guide our informed decision-making, helping us prepare, identify needs, and perform analysis. So when you connect Copilot to business processes, it can deliver measurable return on investment, both from a cost savings and revenue generation perspective, because these agents can provide an endless supply of capacity to help you scale your impact. When we think about the retrieval types of agents, such as those we've seen that are grounded in SharePoint, it can be a really useful exercise to just kind of stop and think about how different roles in your organization and different lines of businesses could benefit from using these types of agents, right? And here's some things to think about. Where can you automate routine tasks? How can you accelerate data analysis? How could you enhance everyday communications and collaboration, or enhance training and support? How do you make it easier for people to make decisions? And perhaps most importantly, how can you leverage AI to scale your subject matter experts and their expertise? Here's a final video.
SharePoint has become the most used solution in the enterprise for knowledge sharing and collaboration. And now you can create an agent with a single click. Let's say a field issue required further research and follow-up. Your team keeps all its customer records, from deployment info to maintenance reports, on a SharePoint site. There's valuable information here, but the number of files makes it tough to find what you need. Copilot can fix that. From any site, library, or folder, you can create an agent with a single click. And in just a few seconds, your Copilot agent is ready to be used or shared with your team. Let's add it to your department's Teams chat, so you work with the agent as you would a trusted colleague. It's immediately useful, reasoning over the relevant content to find the answers your team needs. You can mention the agent as you would any other teammate, informing it of things and asking it questions, and it will respond in real time, contributing just as a teammate would.
Okay. Look, that brings my segment to a close. I just want to thank everyone for your time and attention. I wish you all the best of luck on your journeys with agents, Copilot, and all other AI constructs. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to my colleague, William. Will, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And great component there. Lots of great questions coming through in the Q&A section. So keep them coming as we go through this next part as well. But thanks so much, Jeff, for that. What I want to take us through now is a quick look at actually what, as a user, engaging and accessing an agent through BizChat might look like. Just before I do dive into the live demo though, there is one thing that I wanted to make you aware of. We've discussed agents created with Agent Builder, we've discussed Copilot Studio and SharePoint agents, and we've even talked about some of the third-party agents that have been made available through some of our fantastic partners, think ServiceNow, Workday, etc., as well as ones that Microsoft have made. We also have a series of pre-built agents which Microsoft have released. Now, these are available pretty much out of the box. If you actually go into the app section in Teams and search for one of these, you might find them available. Otherwise, they might just be restricted by an app policy within your organization. But if you're an IT admin, essentially, you'll have the ability to deploy these to your users without really any uplift or customization required. So there's a few here. Hopefully you've been reading through a couple of the options on the screen, but let's take a look at, maybe we'll start with the prompt coach. So just bear with me a moment as I switch my screens around, and here we are. So I am inside of Copilot. Now I'm accessing it inside of Teams. You could be accessing it through the kind of web Copilot page itself, or even through one of the various other access areas. But the key thing to keep in mind when you are using Copilot agents, especially when we're talking about them being published in BizChat, you need to be in the work toggle. So when you're in Copilot, you'll see along the top that web and work section. We need to make sure that we are in the work section, otherwise they won't appear along the right. Now, if you don't see anything along the right, you might just have to expand open this panel using the icon in the top right of the window. Now along here, I'm seeing my agents already available because they've been deployed, or I've added a couple of them as well. If you want to experiment with it, if you do see this option, forget Copilot agents, you can click on it and start searching for these. One of my favorites personally is Prompt Coach. I also really like Learning Coach to give me ideas on areas that I can upskill. So click it, select add, and you should see it appearing inside of Copilot for you. But how do you actually use agents? Well, there's a couple of ways. We mentioned, or Jeff mentioned before, that you can @mention agents inside of BizChat, which kind of summons them for you, and it'll notice that in the UI, it'll say that you're now chatting with Prompt Coach. I actually prefer when I'm working with an agent and I'm kind of right off the bat, I'm not in the mid of a context. I actually like just clicking into it so I get the full UI and also the prompt suggestions. So within here, you can see Prompt Coach. What does it do? Well, it helps me prompt better. It's one of the big skills that we need to develop with the change to kind of generative AI tools and features that can help us. So learning how to prompt has never been a higher priority. So what can we do with this? Let's check out a couple of examples. So I'll go through, and just as if I was engaging with BizChat, I would type a prompt in here. And with this case, our prompt coach is of course trained to be a specialized prompting coach. So if I wanted to rewrite a prompt that I have written, or share some feedback on a prompt that I've created, or actually just give me ideas for a prompt to meet a certain outcome, it's really, really great at that. So you can see here, it's given me 3 example prompts, giving me an explanation of how it's achieved it, what the purpose is for it, and the context as well. I will jump back to the slide now, but just wanted to give you a quick glimpse into actually what it would look like for a user engaging with an agent. Now, just the same, of course, these are Microsoft first-party ones, but just the same, if you deployed an agent into BizChat, you could either kind of push it out there and make it appear in the right for your users, or they'd be able to discover it through the store like we had a look at. Let's move forward. When we start talking towards agents, one of the biggest questions that starts sparking up in particularly IT and risk and compliance teams' heads is, how do we manage and govern them? Now, this isn't a topic that we're going to be able to completely lance in the next 10 minutes. It's a really broad topic. We've already today talked about 4 different ways that you can create, use, and deploy agents, and each of them kind of have different controls that are available to them from a governance perspective. But we hear you surrounding this, and we have already put in a lot of changes to make this easier for you, and there's a ton more along the way. But we like to centralize this conversation with the concept of the Copilot control system. So the Copilot control system is actually a collection of tools, features, and capabilities across our security and compliance suite, our Power Platform Administration, Power Platform Administration Center, and our M365 Admin Center as well. What can we do with it? Well, the key thing to keep in mind initially when we start talking towards Copilot agents is that just like with M365 Copilot, your existing compliance, access, and privacy controls are inherited by the agent. So when you're using an agent, we have the ability, even if we're connecting to a third-party system, to inherit the access that I would have within that third-party source system as well. So it's the first thing to keep in mind. Beyond that, of course, you are still governed and protected by your existing security, compliance, and governance controls across there, but there are some agent-specific actions that you might want to take. These could be down the data protection aspect when we start to talk about what data can and can't be used with AI, or what data is classified in certain ways to be excluded from the index. Also, how do we manage our agents? How do we get a glimpse over how many agents there are, where they are, who's been creating them, what their usage is, etc. And a lot of that management piece can be controlled via what we call DSPM, or our Data Security Posture Management page in the Admin Center, formerly known as AI Hub. And then, of course, a really important part with Copilot in general is the measurement and reporting aspects. So in the Copilot dashboard, currently we have fantastic analytics available to measure your Copilot usage. And we're going to be adding soon the ability to track agent usage as well there, which will give us some great insights into the impact of the agents you might have deployed. Now, I won't read through all the content on this slide, but we did at Ignite announce a few key changes that you might not be across if you didn't tune in, which are really, really great on the kind of governance and protection side of things. So along the top, we have some of the previous things which are still very valuable and still very much part of your Copilot governance strategy. But below, we also have announcements regarding SharePoint Advanced Management being included with Copilot licensing. We also have new tools in terms of the analytics abilities available, and I touched on some of that before with the dashboard, but also the impact report. And then more pieces together with our changes to our Graph Connectors experience. Previously with Graph Connectors, you had a allotment of, I believe, 5,000 items per, or 500 items per M365 license or Copilot license. That's now been switched over to a 50 million items index limit per tenant. Now, if none of that makes any sense to you, don't worry too much. Graph Connectors have actually been around for quite a while, and it's a way to connect Microsoft Search and Intelligence, so kind of the Microsoft graph and environment, to third-party systems. Now, that could be something like ServiceNow knowledge base, or it could be something like a SQL database. But we have the ability actually in another aspect, which we haven't even touched on today because it's a whole bigger thing, to actually expand the knowledge that Copilot can reason upon by using a graph connector. So there's a whole series of data security controls that are implemented by that. All the data is kind of indexed within the Microsoft 365 service boundary, so you don't have to worry on that side. And just the same as our agents, your access control lists are retained in that process. Really interestingly, though, as well, when we start talking about graph connectors, not only can they boost what M365 Copilot can reason upon, but you can also then use those graph connectors as part of your agents. So we have seen some really, really great examples from customers who've created a HR agent or an IT service agent, which is connected to ServiceNow knowledge base or tickets, and also other resources in order to boost that experience. Well, let's take a look at some of those examples that we discussed. When we're discussing kind of opportunities for agents, I don't want you to feel like there is really much limitation. And a lot of questions that I get from customers when we start talking about agents is this possible or is that possible? And my answer is almost always going to be a little bit of a frustrating one. And it's probably yes, but the tool that you will use to make it and the output that you will receive is very much going to change situationally. So inside of Microsoft, of course, we're using agents already. We have some of those ones that I showed you before, like Prompt Coach and Writing Coach, but we also use a HR one. We also use one for our IT and service desk, which is a really, really handy way to be able to get through those level 1 requests, get a laptop replaced, ask any sort of questions. And we're expanding out our agent usage into various areas of security, compliance, and more bespoke business ones. So hopefully you can start to think about not so much how we can fit an agent to a problem, but actually working from our business solutions and our business problems and how we might be able to improve both the employee and the customer experience with agents along the way. What are some of the things that are being done? Well, here's a few on the screen for you. I'll highlight a couple. In terms of PayPal, we have a HR and IT agent that has been deployed for employees to help take some of the strain off our very busy IT service desks and HR people. Really, really simple agent, really, because it connects to some basic knowledge sources and third-party systems, brings together that data with a kind of curated conversation path and allows employees to get answers 24/7 in real time, whilst also escalating to service representatives for more sensitive or more complex issues along the way as well. And we'll take a look at even a template that we have available in just a moment here to achieve that same sort of outcome. Now, on my screen, I know you can't click on these links, so hopefully we will get a post, an announcement in the Q&A section, so you can click it and check out a couple of these, but also when you receive the deck, these are great to check out. What they are is essentially a series of click-through agent demos based on industry scenarios. So just as an absolutely brief sneak peek, let me navigate on over here, and you can see what a demo for an insurance underwriting agent might look like. So a great experience. Click through and try out some of these potential agent ideas for you, and you'll see quite quickly that the breadth of what you can achieve with agents is far greater than you might have first thought. Moving forward, we of course also have some deeper stories which we published surrounding early agentic wins. KPMG have built an agent to assess the compliance of ESG documents, so environmental, social, and governance documents, really helping them move at scale through a rapidly evolving process and kind of save time, but also increase the quality of this evaluation by having a really strict metric and rubric by which these documents are assessed. In the interest of time, I might just press forward a little bit further. If you did attend Ignite or tune in on any of the sessions or check out any of the videos that have come off the back of it, you might have heard about some of these things. So obviously we have just discussed agents in SharePoint to a degree, but some of the most exciting updates for me across Ignite actually relate to our upcoming agents. So facilitator, interpreter, project manager, an employee self-service agent. These are a little bit of a different perspective on agents to what we have currently been discussing. Currently, we've been discussing how you can create agents and use them inside of BizChat, whereas in the case of these upcoming agents, with the exception of the employee self-service one, they will actually be working within the apps. They might be working in a Teams meeting, they might be working in Planner, and achieve some really, really great outcomes. So let's take a quick look at an introduction video for them, and then I will go through and actually give a bit more explanation on it. So just bear with me one moment while I sort out my audio, and then we should be good to fire.
New agents in Microsoft 365 are transforming how humans and AI collaborate. Meet agents in SharePoint, which unlock high-value insights that are connected to your organization's documents. Created with just a few clicks, these agents enhance knowledge sharing. They can be customized with additional data sources in Copilot Studio and can be shared anywhere like a Teams chat. Next is the Facilitator Agent, joining meetings to manage tasks like the agenda, real-time notes, and action items, allowing the team to stay focused on the discussion. And the Facilitator Agent can also streamline communication in chats by providing real-time summaries and responding to questions so the team can focus on what matters. With the new Interpreter Agent, language barriers are a thing of the past, enabling real-time speech interpretation so everyone can speak and listen in different languages.
Thoughts from marketing about the upcoming campaign. If we get a game plan, we can 액션을 내놓는 것을 목표로 할 수 있을 겁니다.
And the project manager agent creates project plans, assigns tasks, and even completes them on behalf of the team, keeping everyone informed and collaborating effectively. Finally, for specialized business processes in HR and IT, the new employee self-service agent in Copilot Business Chat enables employees to get instant answers and take action, such as logging a help desk ticket. And it can be customized in Copilot Studio using pre-built workflows and more. New agents in Microsoft 365, supercharging productivity to reinvent how work gets done.
Awesome. All right. So
New agent.
Let's not play that one again. My apologies. So we just looked at a big kind of quick overview, and I'll explain some of those agents in more detail in just a moment here. But before we dive into those specifically, I also wanted to make a quick call out about our rapidly and continuously increasing list of both out-of-the-box graph connectors that are available and actually third-party agents. So there's already been agents for things like Jira and ServiceNow, etc. But in the case of Adobe ServiceNow and SAP, they're actually refreshing them to enhance them with increased ability soon, as well as a whole series of existing graph connectors, which you can connect and expand Copilot's knowledge or your agent's knowledge base to some of your third-party systems, as well as we've discussed, kind of pre-built agents from third-party sources as well. Let's take a look at some of the things that we saw in that video. For me personally, one of the ones I'm most excited about is actually the employee self-service agent. So similar to actually what PayPal achieved, we've almost templatized a similar approach, and we're calling it the employee self-service agent. It's currently available in a private preview. Coming early next year, we should have that in a public preview for you. But essentially what it does is it allows you out of the box to use it to answer level 1, level 2 support queries across both HR and IT related questions. So it has a pre-built knowledge base and conversation path designed to complement these scenarios, and it'll actually automatically detect if a topic is too sensitive or if a topic is too complex for it to handle. So say, for example, a employee is asking or reporting to the self-service agent an incident of harassment or a workplace incident, it will actually, rather than trying to address it themselves, it will say, hey, speaking to a HR representative is the best way to resolve this concern, and then direct them towards the right output as well. Now, out of the box, a lot of this is set up for you, but it can also be enhanced and customized using Copilot Studio to change the conversation flow or also connect it to your third-party system. So it's very common for people to connect it into your HR data systems, whether that's Workday, whether that's SAP, and also into things like your IT servicing tools, whether that is ServiceNow or another system. So really, really exciting. Essentially a template which has done 85, 90% of the work for you already, but still has that great customization to make it your own. Facilitator is another really cool one. I've actually been jealous, kicking around for the last couple of months. A few people in our product team have had access to this, and I haven't had the button. So I'm really excited to get it myself. Essentially, in its initial stage, you can think of it as being almost like a kind of a collaborating Copilot for everyone. So within a Teams meeting, you'll have the ability to enable the facilitator and actually take live meeting notes as you're going through. So you'll see on this this animation here how it's actually writing the notes, but these are using your same meeting notes as everyone else uses. So you can even collaborate with it or alter it as it's occurring. So a really, really great feature upcoming here. It will also have the ability to generate kind of summaries of chats and key questions. So it can be working beyond just the context of an initial meeting. And there's a huge roadmap in terms of additional features that the facilitator agent will be able to achieve. So definitely a watch this space and definitely something to keep an eye on. It's currently available in public preview. Now, in terms of accessing it yourself, it would require preview features being enabled within your environment. So if that's not the case, you won't be able to yet access it. But generally, if you do have access to it, you can find it in the More menu for your teams, for your meeting, sorry, and access it through there. The interpreter is probably one of the more wow moments of the agent reel that we just watched. So enabling real-time speech-to-speech interpretation. And one of the coolest parts I found is that not only will it translate in near real time, but it'll actually try and use the user's voice. So if someone is speaking, or two people are speaking in different languages, not only translating it, but actually translating it and using their voice. A really, really cool experience. Not yet available. This one will be available in a public preview early next year. I believe we're currently targeting kind of Q1 of the new calendar year for a public preview on that. And then the last piece, project manager. Whenever I start talking about Copilot, I often get asked questions related to project management tasks and workflows. So this will actually be based off Planner, so not MS Project, which I get asked about all the time. But as we saw in the video, allows us to kind of automatically create plans, process tasks, assign them, follow up, and generally help us manage our projects in a more seamless and streamlined way. Of course, because it is using Planner, the impacts of this agent are kind of applied across the whole plan. So they're visible to everyone who has access to the planner itself. And then finally, in terms of Copilot Studio itself, and maybe this is a good opportunity to take a bit of pause and recap on some of the things that we've discussed today. We first took a look at Agent Builder, which is the low-code intuitive experience within BizChat, where you see that create an agent button. It actually starts off with a narrative. It asks you to tell the agent builder what you want to achieve, and then it'll give you follow-up questions to try and build as much of it for you without even having to click into drop-down menus. Now, that is designed primarily for end users, creating an agent for myself or maybe for my team that I will share, but those ones don't get published for usage for everyone in an organization. Those use cases are going to be driven through Copilot Studio, which is where we have an enhanced set of features, the ability to perform actions, and down the line, autonomous agents can be implemented as well, and also connect to additional knowledge sources, including third-party source systems. With Copilot Studio, there is a huge roadmap on development for it, and some of the cool features which we've announced coming along the way are shown on your screen here. For me personally, I'm a big fan of enhanced analytics. I think whenever we're building something new, it is super crucial to understand not only if it's being used, but how it's being used and where it's being used. So hopefully you've read through a couple of things on the screen here. I won't spend a ton of time on them. And then the last piece here, before we wrap up for today, is actually where can we go? So we've taken a look at our agent options. We've had a really broad scope in terms of kind of use cases and achievable scenarios. I would encourage you to first and foremost check out Copilot Studio. If you're an admin or you have access to use Copilot Studio, check it out. See what the experience is like for you. You will find some of those template apps available within Copilot Studio, so you can have a starting point and build off from there. Also, check out the new agents that are announced. We just had a quick look at some of them and the sizzle reel there, but there's far more information regarding how you can access them, what they can achieve, and where they're heading. The scenario library, even if it's not agent specific, there's aspects in there which are related to agents, but it's a crucial resource for anyone who is a Copilot user or managing a Copilot program at their organization. A great collection of scenarios and use cases across both industries and personas. So whether I am working in the manufacturing industry or maybe I am a financial analyst, a whole series of resources and collections to make Copilot personal for me. And the final piece is our agent demo gallery. We've been talking a lot about what you can build, but we've also mentioned some of the things that are already available for you. And the agent demo gallery is a collection of agents that have been provided and created by our third-party partners. So a great thing to click through there and just have a look, see if some of the tools that you're already using might have an agent available for them. And then as you learn more about them, each one might have slightly different kind of requirements in terms of where it can be deployed or how it can be used as well. So a great thing to keep an eye on. We are coming towards the end of the session here today. As we said before, I would encourage you to go further from here. Not every agent opportunity has to be super complex. Not every agent opportunity has to be a centralized IT run program. So have a play around. If you have access to Agent Builder, create yourself a simple agent based off a SharePoint source, learn what these experiences can look like. And as you're continuing to go through your Copilot journey, keep an eye out and your mind open to some opportunities that agents might be able to help out with. Thanks so much. I've been Will. I've also had Jeff here today, so a big thanks to Jeff and the moderation team, and I hope you have a lovely day.